.NET Framework goals. There are some design goals for this .NET Framework. It dramatically simplifies development and deployment. Okay, so when we had a previous if you are from Microsoft, there was a language called as VB6. So VB6 was not completely object oriented, and the .NET framework, which was designed in 2000, has taken into consideration like how should be simplifying the things for the development as well as for the deployment also. And these are some design goals. So when they thought of creating this particular framework, they thought to create it in a different aspect. Okay, so everything was object oriented programming by that time, by the year of 2000 2001. So they thought to simplify everything, and apart under that particular design goals, they thought to give a shot for the simplified development as well as for the deployment concerns, and unifies the programming models. So this is a very peculiar thing which you do not have in any other programming language. Suppose if you are from the Java programming language, whatever you want to do, suppose you are going to create a struts or you want to write a JSP programming page, or you want to create some beans, everything is tied to a Java. Okay, so that means if you know uh, the language Java, then only you can do the programming in Java peripheral technologies. So what are the Java peripheral technologies? So many are there. Okay, struts, beans, and many are upcoming also. Hibernate. So some of you may be knowing all these terms and technologies. But the thing to understand here is, if you want to program in Java peripheral technologies, you should be mandatorily understanding and getting a proper understanding of the Java implementation. Then only you can do the programming. But whereas in .NET, that is not the case. You may be coming from a different language, then also you can do the programming under .NET. So that is the main goal of this .NET framework. That means it unifies all the programming models that are available so in the industry. So that we will cover exclusively later on also in the Unit 3 also. Then what more point is under the design goal, provides robust and secure execution environment. So it provides very secure environment, so that all the applications whichever created under the .NET can be relied upon heavily for their security as well as robustness. So that is one more design goal. Then it supports multiple programming languages. .NET framework nowadays supports nearly some I have heard that nearly 80 languages are already supporting this framework. So if you know any one of the language, then that means you can do the programming for .NET. So that is the basic understanding. So it supports multiple programming languages. What that means is, even a person is coming from Java or PHP, they can also do the programming in .NET without any hassles. Okay, so in that way they have created that environment, and accordingly this framework is very capable to do all kinds of operations, whether you are doing for different whether you are doing for mobile applications or for Windows services or mobile web application development or web services. Everything is taken care of under a single roof, and the main essential component under this is the framework. Okay, so slowly we are going to learn the framework concepts also gradually, because the framework cannot be studied in a theoretical manner. They can be implemented as part of the practical implementations only. Okay, you cannot see and understand how that particular framework actually works. Then on top of like a bird's eye view, we can see the framework and its .NET component we can segregate. And here in this bottom, you can see the operating system, which is your Windows operating system, or it can be some Linux. So it can be Windows or Linux theoretically. So that means .NET language is not tied to the Windows servers or Windows operating machines. It can be cross compatible with all the operating systems available, and upon installing the framework, it directly talks with the kernel of the operating system. So this part is actually talking with the kernel of the operating system. So on top of this, there is a CLS, which is called as Common Language Runtime. So CLR is the main brain of the .NET engine. So we can think like this. This is the main brain behind the framework. So Common Language Runtime, which ensures execution of every component of your application properly running under your operating system, providing the security, providing the scalability, providing the common functionalities, and deriving the most of the optimized environment for your applications. Okay. So then comes with the base class library. This is called as BCL. So base class library is like a common class library across all the architectures that you are going to create under the .NET roof. Okay, so this is a base class library. That means all the base class libraries will be efficiently performing the things in an equal manner. Either you are talking ASP.NET, or you are working for Windows Forms, or you may be working on mobile applications, or you may be doing the web services development. So all these are actually drawing the things from the base class library. Then comes with the separate layer, which you can see here, ADO.NET and XML. So ADO.NET and XML are actually for the interaction with the database. So we will see exclusively in that unit 3 how to interact with the database by taking the advantage of this particular class ADO.NET, and which is in combination with the XML. So XML is everywhere in this .NET framework. If you are writing the database, behind the scenes XML is the driving factor, and if you are writing the services like SOAP and other things, also the behind the scenes, the XML is the driving factor. So ADO.NET and XML is there to support every part of the application development. Then comes with the application layer here. This part is actually doing the it is having some components. ASP.NET is mostly targeted for the web development, and all the web development like services and form creations and libraries are supported under this particular component ASP.NET. Similarly, Windows Forms, if you are working on the desktop application creation, then Windows Forms will be the component that you are working with. Similarly, mobile application development, it is having some separate libraries and separate classes and packages, which is exclusively dealing with those concepts. So in that way, the application layer here, it's not an application layer, but some kind of application facilitators. So these facilitators will be creating the services from your side, and you only have to interact with those packages. Suppose you are working on the ASP.NET, those packages you have to call, those namespaces and classes you have to call accordingly to run that particular service or to create that particular web page or a component. And in this unit 3, we will discuss in length. Okay, so don't worry about all these things right now. So there are some clear-cut separations of concern that have been given in this architecture. And finally, there is a common language specification, which is something related with the common type system. Okay, so you can relate this with the common type system. So if you have a language that is an integer, and similarly there is one more language which is having the data type as integer in this keyword, and both are supporting 32 bits, then that means this both are supporting this common language specification. That means your language or whatever the target language is actually supporting the .NET framework. Okay, so in simple terms, your language or the whatever the target language should be complying to this CLS specification. Then it is executable on the .NET framework. Then it can be executable on the .NET framework. So common language specification checks whether everything is in terms with that .NET framework stipulations, whatever the rules and regulations that are there, and accordingly it will try to convert from one format to another format. And finally, on the interaction layer is with this language. Either you may be opting the VB or C++ or C#, and JScript or J# or PHP, Java, JavaScript. Many languages are supporting. So this layer is actually your interacting layer. This interacting layer from your language is going to be complying this CLS, and but through this language we can operate the components of the ASP.NET or Windows Forms, and which will be supported by the ADO.NET and XML, and all these are supported by the BCL, and everything is getting executed under the CLR. So this is the hierarchy of working the .NET framework. Okay, so in that way we can understand how this particular architecture is aligned. So it is aligned in a very clean manner. So this particular CLR is responsible for running your applications under your given native operating system by providing the native code, by generating the native code. So this is how we can understand the .NET framework architecture. So we will see exclusively that again in unit 3 also. So moving on to the next one, what are the languages that actually supports? Because this particular unit is only concentrating on the language, that is C#. Okay, so language enhancements we can see they have supported, they have given the direct support for first one, the VB, and direct support for the Visual C#, and support for the C++, then J#. That means, what that means, if you are installing the Visual Studio in your machine, you can directly code from these 4 languages without doing anything extra from your side. Okay, so all these are already installed in your machine. So you may be opting the Visual Basic .NET, or you may be sometimes opting the Visual C# .NET, or if you are comfortable with C++, then you can take this language. But this is not the C++ exactly, this is VC++. So VC++ is something different which you have learned in your curricula, like C++ from Borland. So some different compilers are there. So that is something different from this VC++. This VC++ is from the Microsoft, and J# is for the developers who are coming from the Java side. If you have seen the J# language, it is almost 99% similar to the Java language. Almost 99% similar to the Java language. Why it has been taken in that way? Only to provide the easier migration for the Java developers. Suppose you are a Java developer, if you want to work on the .NET language, so only to provide the easier flexibility for the Java provider, Java language developers, they have started with this Visual J#. Not only that, you can take the Java compiler also, but directly you cannot run the Java language because you have to integrate the Java C. Okay, so you have to integrate the Java compiler in the Visual Studio .NET first of all, or otherwise if you are working on PHP, you have to first of all take the compiler of the PHP into the Visual Studio .NET. Then only you can do the programming in this PHP, which will be ultimately creating the .NET application only. That means the language is not a barrier. If you are talking in terms of the .NET framework, for the .NET framework, the language is not a barrier. If from the given set of 80 or 100 languages, even if you are knowing a couple of languages, then also it is fine to do the programming in the .NET framework. So that is the ultimate concept that is given by the Microsoft. Okay, so next, languages. The .NET platform is language neutral. What that means is some may prefer C#. When you go to the industry, if you are working on Microsoft technologies, either you are working on VB language, or sometimes you will be working on the C# language. But C# is the most preferred language in the industry, and VB, some companies do operate in the VB also, but the majority of the companies actually operate in C# because C# is very easy to learn, because when you are coming from the C or Java language background, then understanding the C# is pretty easier. Like only some 10% difference it is offering when you compare with the Java or C. Okay, so that's why majority of the companies operate in the C# only, so that to provide the easier learning curve for the developers. But some companies are still there which prefer the VB language also, who are from legacy companies, or maybe they are targeting some different languages like Delphi and other languages which are pretty much similar to the VB language. Okay, so some reservations are there. That depends on the company to company how to operate in a particular language. But if you're talking in terms of the .NET framework, language is not a barrier, and language is not a choice also. Okay, so even though you are writing in a C sharp, a very good code, or if you are writing a very sophisticated in VB, everything is same under the .NET platform. Like if you are writing the language from the PHP, everything is boiled down to a single common language. Okay, that is called as meta language. We will come to that later on. So that's why your choice is only for your sake. Okay, so if you are running the code on C sharp or VB, that is only up to you. If you are comfortable with C sharp, okay, it's good to go with. If you are comfortable with VB, yes, that is good. But for the .NET framework, all the languages are common, and every language is unique, and every language is equal. So that is the first thing that you want to understand. Okay, so every language is unique and equal here. So that's why there is no special first class player in the .NET framework. तो अगर माइक्रोसॉफ्ट ने दिया है ऐसा करके, जैसे यहाँ पे मैंने बताया कि VB.NET and C Sharp .NET, J Sharp.NET, C++.NET, all these are given by the Microsoft by default. It's not like that they are a first class player. They are also having the common implementations when you compare with the other non default compilers or languages. Okay, so you can leverage your existing skills. So what that means is, अगर आपको C Sharp अच्छा लगता है तो उसमें आप कोडिंग कर सकते हैं, but for the .NET framework, it is not a very first class player. If you are working in PHP, it is not also first class player. Every language is same and unique and equal. Every language is common, every language is unique, and they are equal. Okay, so that's why there is no language barrier to implement the .NET framework applications. Then common language specification. Set of features guaranteed to be in all languages. If you are complying with the CLS, that means your language should be compatible with the .NET framework. That part you have to ensure first of all. Okay, if you are going to create a new language with your own name, you must be complying with these CLS specifications. Then your language can be ported onto the .NET platform. तो .NET प्लेटफॉर्म पे आपका खुद का लैंग्वेज भी आप पोर्ट करके यूज कर सकते हैं, उसमें एप्लीकेशंस डेवलप कर सकते हैं. And Visual Studio by default provides these 4 languages. Okay, so if you want any other language, you have to do somewhat manual integration of your compiler so that it can be working on the same terms under the .NET framework. Okay, then third parties are also targeting. These are some extra languages which are supported by the .NET framework. What are they? They are here in this slide. It is not available. Some languages which are supported by the .NET framework are APL, COBOL, Delphi, Pascal, Eiffel, Haskell, ML, Overland, Perl. Many of the languages we do not know. Okay, so Perl, Python, Schema, and Smalltalk, Java, PHP. Many languages are supported. So these languages are, suppose you may be knowing any of these. Suppose you know the Python language. So simply integrate the Python compiler into the .NET framework, and you can directly code in the Python. So that's what the .NET says. Okay, so you can directly code in the Python, but ultimately what you are going to get a .NET assembly. So ultimately you are going to create a .NET assembly by using a learned language. Whatever your learned language, that is up to you. That is the programmer's preference. You can code in your own way, and this is how they have designed in the first place. So compilation and execution, how it takes care of, we will see. First of all, you have to give a source code. Suppose I am interested in doing the VB language. So then what it will be doing is one .vb extension code file has to be given to the compiler. The compiler is for the VB, it is VBC. If you are working with C Sharp, it is CSC. And if you are working with Java, there may be a Java C. So in that way, there are different compilers are there. By default, these compilers are inbuilt in the Visual Studio. So thereby, your compilation takes place. So as I have written the code in the VB, this source code will be compiled by the compiler of the VBC. And this language compiler will be generating one assembly This assembly is the combination of the, you can see here, this assembly is the combination of the code plus metadata. So that means this assembly, which is getting from one language, is nothing but one more language. So it is an intermediate language, what we call as intermediate language, IL. So this IL, we can open, we can see the code also. So that means it's not a binary, it's an intermediate language for the .NET framework. And it is a combination of the IL plus metadata. So whatever you are going to get as part of an assembly is not a proper assembly. Assembly means it should be a binary, but in this case, it is not a binary. It is an assembly having the intermediate language plus metadata, which you can open up and see also. In the practical slots, if there is a time, I can show you how to open that intermediate language and how to understand the things. But it's not a worthy thing for us to do, because we cannot do with that anything. Okay, so it's there for the .NET framework to compile and to generate the native code. So that means what we need to understand is there is some intermediate language that is going to be generated on the fly when you code in your own preferred language, VB or C sharp. The compilation takes place here, and after this compilation, this native code is going to be, this IL code is going to be generated. Then what happens? Then one JIT compiler is there, just-in-time compiler is there, which actually looks upon this IL and understands the thing from the metadata, whatever that is generated for the understanding of this particular code, that is called as metadata. And this metadata is going to be read and understood, and accordingly this IL is going to be converted into the native code. So that is a part of the JIT compiler. So just-in-time compiler is actually kicked in when you actually run the application for the first time. Okay, आपने एक application develop कर लिया. That application is being installed on your own machine. That machine is .NET framework compatible. Okay, so when you double click on that particular assembly or that binary, the first time which is going to be kicked in, that service is nothing but the JIT compiler. That JIT compiler is responsible for generating the native code. Why it is like so? Because your JIT compiler will optimize the code according to your own machine. You may be working from laptop, you may be working from desktop machine, or sometimes you may be sitting on a server. Okay, so the compiler will take care of optimization of the code according to your architecture, your memory and other things. So what is the best binary it should be created for your own machine? So accordingly it will decide, and then only going to be created for your application. So that's why it is called as native code. Okay, so it takes care of everything. What is the architecture, what is the platform, and how much RAM is there, and what should be the ideal running capacity for the instructions. So all these will be taken care of by the JIT compiler, and on the fly it is going to create the native code, which is the binary. So ultimately some binaries are going to be created. Okay, so these binaries are these binaries are actually the native code format. That means if you take these binaries and copy into a different machine, they may work or they may not work also. Sometimes they may work, and if it is not possible to work, then it may give some errors also. So that's why the native code you cannot copy and place like you do for the other executables. Okay, you have to generate for a new the theoretical background, which may here one more thing is added by the framework, but again the code option and execute framework. It is you have to it is going to is there any is the assemblation about metadata about this IL applied to the generated machine. So when this you can see here time each JIT order in the memory. We are coming to the so mostly as I am parts of those IQ mostly topics come. First of all, note symbol you have it's a written tilted way. It's not so that born in nine eternal name. What is the name of C life? So that to so ways it is strongly unified that he has created this particular language to only address the short other programming at the boosted languages printed compliant. Okay, when Java at that time also not 100% compatible, completely object oriented with 80% 90 ways, which is 100% ways this time has to be complex classes in object oriented is not there. Type what are these shortcomings created this, that is design of application. You can this language, you can create type of application that can be website, that can be Windows application, that can be mobile application, that can be Windows services, services to generate on .NET. Be simple. Type safe. If you know the JavaScript, JavaScript is not a type safe. If you declare val can be anything. You can put string there, you can put integer there, you can put boolean there. So it's not type safe. If will common which is there are which are data types true, your true actually that into and some of the not having it. But C# innovation really in the CMS and C# language. So it is designed by the mainly this is the technological person, and they have supported these are supported the language development. Main development medium for future Microsoft products. Okay, origins plus it is by some part from small tag. Okay, so in that way they have taken the origin. That was the chief architect for this and the Delphi Pascal ASO standardized .NET platform. You are free to use this particular language. There are no licensing attached to this. Then in this session, then we will stop. So why C#? There are some complex experience. That means com means components. Before 1999, everything was component based. Okay, so to distribute your feature, your logic, your application, or your library, there are some complex components which are freely available on the internet, and you have to use them. So those components were in millions and millions of components were there. But nobody was there to readily use these components because the cross compatibility was not at all there at that time.